right here. This started on Labor Day. There's Occupy Congress. So that was organized by Nick Brown of People's Party. Paula Jean Swearingen's down there. A lot of Jackson Hinkle was down there. A lot of people were down there. And why are they down there? Well, because when Cori Bush and AOC declared victory, they said they got the eviction moratorium extended, but everybody knew it wasn't. In fact, they said they came to the Capitol with my chair. That's going to be interesting coming up. I'll tell you why that's interesting. I refuse to accept that Congress could leave for vacation while 11 million people faced eviction. For 5 days, we've been out here demanding that our government acts to save lives. Today, our movement moved mountains. So they didn't move mountains, and it took them 5 days. And now the eviction moratorium's over. Well, here, for months, the White House and legal experts insisted that the CDC didn't have the authority to act and that it was incumbent upon Congress to pass an extension. But the House left for an 8-week recess vacation after failing to pass an extension. So exactly as we predicted, instead of Cori Bush and AOC demanding Congress come back in session, which is what they said they were going to do, and pass an eviction moratorium, they didn't. They kicked the can, and guess what? The Supreme Court overruled it as it was predicted, as the Supreme Court said they would. So now renters prepare for eviction after court ruling, and guess what? So they went down the Capitol steps, and this hashtag got Occupied Congress. They got censored. So isn't that amazing? So Twitter wouldn't let people tweet stuff that had the hashtag Occupy Congress. I guess this is their overreaction to January 6th, and they're not fucking around. We really don't have the right to freedom of speech or assembly or to petition our government for redress of grievances. Here they are arresting everybody. So today, this is from Jackson Hinkle. He said, today I was arrested with Paula Jean, Nick Brana, Martin Green, I don't know who that is, on the steps of the Capitol during an Occupy Congress protest for rent forgiveness and housing justice. Very disappointed that the squad wasn't there fighting for the millions of vulnerable Americans with us. Exactly. Where were they? Here, we did learn some interesting things. By the way, if you're keeping score at home, a pandemic is still happening. Capitol Police confirmed rules are made up as they go, because why were they arresting these people, but they didn't arrest AOC and Cori Bush? Why didn't they arrest those people? So the Capitol Police admitted that the rules are made up as they go. Things we were told not to do. You can't use bullhorns. You can't use signs. No lawn chairs. No red bandanas on more than 20 people. See some disparities here? Yes. So Paula Jean tweeted out, when members of Congress occupy our nation's Capitol steps, they get sound systems and they get to dance. When ordinary people do it, this is the welcome we get. We can't even use a bullhorn. And look at all the cops that were there. Where were you guys on January 6th? I don't know, huh? I guess they got a $2 billion raise for failing on January 6th. I was arrested by Capitol Police yesterday at the Occupy protest for using a bullhorn on the Capitol steps. Why are protesters at Cori Bush demonstration allowed to use a bullhorn on the Capitol steps just a few weeks ago? So I want to show you this video. Of course, if there's nothing that reveals the emptiness and the game that's being played on you, then this video. This was AOC giving a victory speech after the eviction moratorium was temporarily extended, but it wasn't really. And everyone knew it was bogus. In fact, activists at the speech right here are going to ask her, there's another 10% of the people that aren't covered by this moratorium, meaning 1.1 million people. What are you going to do about rent forgiveness? And what are you going to do about the 1.1 million people that are going to be kicked out of their houses? Now it's way more than that, because but this is what they said.
And we showed up. People said, how are you going to do it? What's your 10-point plan? What are you doing 5:30 p.m. on Saturday? How many days are you going to be here? Yeah, but what about? And we said none of that matters. Will people's rent be forgiven? We're going to figure that out.
So he said, will people's rent be forgiven? And we're going to figure that out, meaning I'm not addressing that because we don't have a plan for that.
But
what are you going to do? You asked us what we're going to do. What are you guys going to do?
Here's what we're going to do. The CDC just announced an eviction moratorium. And what we're here is for our reasons known and unknown. So our reasons known was to make sure that we extended this moratorium. That's what we're here to.
What about the 10%? What about the 10%?
So now she's being asked, what about the 1.1 million people left out of this?
Okay, we're going to turn on some music now.
What about the 10%?
So if you can watch that without your stomach turning, you're stronger than I am, and that reveals that all to be a scam. But guess what? It's still the squad already got their photo op and a good PR. Now we're here on our own. Crazy how people still defend their garbage. So now let me bring in. Where is my thing? Here we go. Let me bring in, we have some guests of people who are live right now doing the Occupy Congress, which has been suppressed by Twitter and social media. We're going to introduce you to, he was Bernie Sanders' National Political Outreach Coordinator in 2016. He's the co-founder of the People's Party, a new political party to shake up America's political broken system. He helped organize Occupy Congress and an ongoing action on Capitol Hill. He's with Paula Jean, it's Nick Brana. He's joined by Paula Jean Swearengin, who ran for Congress as a Justice Democrat, and now she's a member of the People's Party. Also, Zainab Day, former organizer with Justice Democrats and Brand New Congress, also now a member of the People's Party. Thank you all for joining us today. Tell me about where you're speaking to me from and what's going on.
You want to start, Nick?
Hey, all. Yeah, we're here. We're at the Capitol steps. This is exactly where the squad was occupying. This is what we've occupied for the past few days. When we got here, one of the things that stuck out the most to us, we obviously came here because the squad was here for an eviction moratorium extension. And we said, as the People's Party, that's not enough. We need an actual solution, not an eviction moratorium extension that is going to be shot down by the Supreme Court. We need rent forgiveness, housing for all, and good paying jobs for all, because we were here the first day was Labor Day. And as a gift to the working people of this country, the Democrats gave working people an end. They ended the extended COVID federal unemployment benefits. So the 300 plus that people were getting per week, that was a lifeline that was keeping them alive. And so now there's millions more people that are going to lose their homes as a result of that. And there's no eviction moratorium. So there's millions of people going to lose their homes, millions of people losing their unemployment benefits. And we said, as the People's Party, well, that's even worse than when the squad came here and they occupied these steps. And so we have to get back and we have to say, we need those. It's more urgent than ever. And where are you, squad? And as we were here, we found out that they treated us very differently than they treated them.
So tell me about that. Tell me about what did you get the Capitol Police to admit to about the different treatment?
Well, actually, I was here before then. We had like a miniature sound system that we couldn't get going, and they were telling us to keep that away from the Capitol. But then after that, when we pulled out our megaphone, they told us that we couldn't use that. And then as we progressively moved along, we had our red bandanas on, which signifies not only was it Labor Day, but it was the 100-year anniversary of the Battle of Blair Mountain, which it was when the miners were mobilizing all over Appalachia. It was the start of the labor movement. It's not only the Battle of Blair Mountain, but Mate 1 massacre. Mother Jones, Joe Hill organized in West Virginia, and people in Kentucky and Ohio and all over, because they lived in tents. They fought and finally ended up having company housing. Miners had to use script, which was industry money, and shop at the company store. And as our labor movements have evolved, not very many things have changed, Jimmy, because people still are beholden to corporations. Here on Labor Day, the 100th anniversary of Blair, so many people were getting evicted across the country, so it's really significant. And the red bandana symbolizes when the miners went against industry, they identified themselves by putting the red bandanas on when they went to war. And that's actually really significant to the people in Appalachia and the labor movement. And it should be a symbol across the country. They've tried to discredit it and tried to stigmatize the word redneck. and turn it into a bad label. But I'm a proud redneck. I'm a proud Appalachian woman because of this, because of my ancestors, and I hold on to that legacy. And we need to remember that people have been fighting for generations. People shed blood for labor rights, and what Congress did, it pissed on everything that we've done. But they said that we could not be on the steps. First they said we could be on the steps, but then there was an indigenous woman here, and she didn't use a bullhorn, and she was up at the top of the steps. I spoke already. Nick had already spoke to the crowd, and the police started chasing her, and she's like, "Why are you centering me out?" And they told her it was because of her clothing, and she did have something written on her shirt. And we asked the police the other night extensively if it was against the law to be here at the Capitol with anything political or anything that you wanted to say on a T-shirt. And they said that wasn't illegal. So they targeted her. Then after that, Jackson and I led it. It really pissed me off by the way that they treated her. So I decided that I was going to use the bullhorn and utilize my First Amendment rights. Jackson joined me, Nick joined us after, and Martin. I don't know if y'all remember, but during the George Floyd protest, the old man that got pushed down and was injured really bad, that was Martin. He got arrested with us too.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. I remember that guy. We covered that story for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was him. That was like the most viral video of basically that uprising, or one of them. And like, if I can pick up from what you were saying,
sure.
Paula, we got here, they basically aiming to do a lot of the things that the squad had done. The first thing they told us is no sound system. They had a dance party here while they were here on the steps. Then they told us no bullhorns. And then after that, they arrested us for that, Paula, Jackson, Martin, myself. And then when they did that on that first day, when we had about 50 people here, they not only arrested us, but they were so determined to keep us from retaking the steps that they closed down the Capitol grounds, and they forced everyone, tourists, people who were here, out of the Capitol grounds. That it was a wall of cops. There was one photo there, probably 80 cops that forced everybody out. And then that night, to prevent us from coming back, because we said, we're coming back. You've arrested us, but we're coming back. They stationed cops here throughout the night, and a motorcycle even, to prevent us from coming back, and basically threatened us with arrest immediately.
Yep.
But we came back anyways. The second that they left, we retook the steps, and that's when they started telling us that other things weren't allowed. So they said, well, now we're going to tell you, you can't sleep. So you can't sleep in this action. They were like, people were sleeping here the whole time. There was a photo that the squad took of me behind them to troll me, in fact, that was of me sleeping, talking about how everybody was sleeping here all the days. Okay, so you can't even sleep while you're doing this action. In fact, you can't even recline, they said. If you close your eyes, if you recline, we're going to come here, we're going to arrest you immediately. And that's on video of them trying to do that to us. They said also, no lawn chairs. Every photo is they have lawn chairs. No, you can't do that either. So there's completely different treatment, and we found out more about how exactly the squad was able to do that. And I could talk about that. We can talk about that if you want.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, tell me about that. I'm trying to tell me what the Capitol cops told you about why they're enforcing different rules for you than they were for the squad.
Well, that's a really fascinating story. It was like unpacking a mystery, because there was a different cop that gave us different information throughout the 3 days we were here, and so the Capitol Police were telling a little bit of different stories, but there were through lines. And what we had learned is that, and it's funny how they framed it, we had learned that you can, that the House Sergeant of Arms, who is elected by the members of the House, right, can make special considerations for the steps of the Capitol on the House side. And then there's the Senate side that the Staff Sergeant of Arms can make exceptions for the Senate side. So this was apparently special exceptions made from the House, which they said we had two different Capitol Police say that the exceptions generally come from the House Speaker. So if that's true, the exceptions would have came from Nancy Pelosi for Cori Bush and the squad to be out here for this event. And either way, for there to be special exceptions, and the way that they framed it is for press conferences and special Capitol events. That made me laugh because I was like, essentially, this wasn't a demonstration. It was a press conference so that they could then go and celebrate Biden's measure and once again push something off of Congress's responsibility for legislation and put it back on the presidency like the House and Congress has done for how long? You know, that's what they always do.
So,
but this whole thing...
Right. So
and they said that these special exceptions were made by a member of the House and approved by the Staff Sergeant of Arms, or the Sergeant of Arms, and the Capitol Police Board. So they had to get those before they came out here, or they would have been arrested.
Yeah.
So they were protesting Congress with Congress's permission.
With congressional approval.
Yeah.
So they were. So what? Basically, what you're saying is the Capitol Police let everybody know that AOC and Cori Bush, when they said that they were protesting Congress over the eviction moratorium, they actually weren't. They actually had the permission of Nancy Pelosi and the Sergeant of Arms to be there and do what they were doing. So they weren't protesting anybody. That was not. They weren't doing anything. And just as as that video I played earlier revealed, that was one big stunt and a fundraising stunt, because now that eviction moratorium is gone. And where are they? Where is Cori Bush? Where is AOC? Where is anybody in Congress? Why aren't they? They're not even retweeting that you're there. They're not even mentioning. Nobody wants to. What are they doing for the eviction moratorium? They're not doing anything. So, but what AOC is doing is tweeting out videos telling you have to vote for Gavin Newsom. That's what she's doing. Okay.
Ed Markey's supporting Joe Manchin today. Ain't that sweet?
Yeah, isn't that sweet? So, all right. So, tell me, what is the plan going forward? Now, there's going to be other protests happening. What is the plan for you all going forward?
There are other actions that are coming up, anti-war actions we're going to be participating in, End the Damn Wars. There's another one that's being organized by Code Pink. We're going to be participating in both. They are actually going to shut down the entire Capitol grounds and they're going to put the fence back up. And I think there is a Proud Boys rally coming over to the Capitol. And I think that we played a role in that as well, getting them to say, all right, we're shutting down basically the Capitol grounds. But we're going to be participating in those. They've made it impossible with all of the rules. Anytime we tried to do something to be able to stay here longer, they would make it impossible to do that. And so it goes to show that, you know, when the squad comes here and they want to do an action, like, they get permission. They get special permission. They get it approved, basically. It's like a press conference, like Zaina said, basically. Like, that's how they described it. And when real working people come here, when the People's Party comes here to demand actual solutions, systemic solutions like housing for all, rent forgiveness, and good paying jobs for all, they basically crack down on us. They bring a battalion of cops. They remove us. They shut down the whole Capitol grounds. They don't let us do anything to stay here, to sleep, to be able to sit down in a chair. Any of the things that they did, they made completely different rules when it's actual citizens, people, working people coming here and demanding what our government should be doing in the first place.
They run us off the other night. They said that they had made exceptions for us and let us, because people normally don't sleep out here, they said. And I'm like, well, what did we do? Can you explain exactly what we did wrong after the arrest? And they couldn't answer that, but they were just making an exception and and letting us be here before they run us off after the third night.
So they finally told us to just leave.
Well, yeah, no more protesting in America, you guys. Come on. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate what you're doing. Try to amplify your message. I wish I could be there with you. The Jimmy Dore Show is coming to a city near you August 28th. We're in Las Vegas at the Plaza, and we just added another show in Portland. We're there in Portland on September 10th and 11th. October 3rd, we're at Harlow's in Sacramento. More dates being added. Go to jimmydoorecomedy.com for a link for all tickets. See you at a live show.